Okay, video B, Jimmy White, Crucible Memories. Jimmy, back in the Crucible Theatre, love affair or broken marriage?
Not finished yet. Not finished yet, still playing, so I'll have to answer that question when I retire.
I want to take you back to 1981, the first time you played here and walked through those famous curtains. You drew arguably one of the top players at the time, Steve Davis, in the first round. Do you remember how you felt walking out the Crucible?
It's a very, obviously I've watched it on TV, watched Griffiths famously beat Dennis Taylor, and he won in '79, so I'd watched a couple of years of it, and it is a place that if you're not relaxed, it can be a bit daunting. It took me a few frames to get it together. I remember the match because I was 6-3 down with Davis, and I lost 2 or 3 games on the colours, and he went on to beat me 10-8, and then he won it that year, and he went on to dominate in the 80s.
You come back in '82 to play probably the second most remembered famous match in Crucible history. 15-14 up, you miss the red with the rest. Do you think, looking back now, missing that red with the rest against Alex is probably more significant than the black you missed against Hendry?
Well, I don't know. I still had to beat Ray Reardon in the final. Ray Reardon was a class act. You can never sort of write him off. But I think I was favourite. But sometimes Higgins, that particular year, sometimes you got your name on a trophy. That clearance he done against me was ridiculous, and I was delighted for him, and he was the first person to bring a baby on, when he won that World Championship. So yeah, 82 was a big chance for me, and obviously missing the black against Andrew 17 each, but as I said, I'm not finished yet, so I can't really comment.
But 82 was kind of your first breakthrough here, so you've gone all the way to the kind of semi-final.
Yeah, sorry Jason, the one table situation, to get to the one table in the Crucible, is that what everybody dreams of? Obviously you dream of winning the World Championships, but this one table, this venue, we're playing the seniors here now, this venue is just made for snooker. Mike Watson's wife found this venue for him, and he was looking to hold the World Championships. It was actually in Hounslow, and we went to watch it in '78, and I was only 16. We went and watched it in Hounslow, and that was quite a good venue. But when it come here, it's just, it's just made for snooker.
82, we know Jimmy White had arrived on the world stage. 83, you come up against Tony Mio.
Yeah.
Do you remember much about that match? Because he was your childhood pal, wasn't he?
No, because I'd been on the road with Higgins in '82 for a few months, learning about life, shall we say. So Tony Mio was probably a good bet that year.
Yeah, so Tony, I think, probably upset the bookies' odds that year. But as you say, you've been on a victory parade. Were you close to Alex before you played in '82, or was it that match that particularly cemented that lifelong friendship?
No, I was quite close to him. You've met Alex, and you've worked with Alex. He was very unpredictable. But what I liked about Higgins is that wherever we was always playing snooker, and that was all I wanted to do. I just wanted to play with my hero. So if we was in a tournament somewhere, we'd find a working man's club. We always have a set of balls between us, and we just brush an eye on the table and go on. Now it's difficult to find any good tables because they don't get looked after. But in them days, that was probably where I got close to Higgins, because I used to enjoy practicing with him.
84, you get a run to the final. So this is your first world final. Again, you had a run to the final that included, I think, Rex Williams, Eddie Charlton, Thorburn, and then Kirk. So do you remember much about 84? Because there were some historic matches.
Yeah, well, I had a great match with Kirk Stevens, but the 84 final, the late Jim Meadowcroft, I was 12-4 down with Steve Davis, and Jim Meadowcroft was commentating, and I was just coming off, and I said my tip's too hard, and he felt my tip and he went, it's like a rock, and he said, I'll put a tip on for you if you want. And I think just super glue was just invented, I think, and I put a new tip on that night and practiced on the main table till 1:30 in the morning. I don't think you'd be allowed to do that now.
No.
And I come out in the morning and I won the first 3 games, Davis, then I'm 50 in front with 3 reds left, and Davis doubled 2 reds, got 3 blacks, and cleared up to go 3-1, and I won the next session 4-0. So I come out of there.
Like
I was
13-11, was it, or something like
12, yeah, 13-11
Wow.
from 12-4 down. So who knows, you know? And then I ended up losing 18-16.
85 and 86, 2 more quarter-final appearances. One a defeat to Tony Knowles, and then Davis again. What do you remember about the Tony Knowles match?
I don't remember. Them years were a bit twilight for me, Jason. I'd learnt about life and I was up to no good, so I can't really remember them.
You still made the quarter-final of the World Championships in 2 years.
No, listen, I'm not proud of you know, not preparing right, but I've got to be honest, I can't remember them matches at all.
87, a run to the semi-final. Terry Griffiths this time halted you.
Huge mistake with Terry Griffiths. I'd watched him play. I'd got to the semi-finals early, and I had a day off, and I watched Griffiths play, and I thought I've got to open the balls up here to, you know, to really get into this match. And I was breaking from the 3rd red down, and before I knew where I was well behind. You know, I was trying to. I had a policy to open the balls up with Griffiths, but he picked me off, and he ended up losing to Davis in the final. Yeah. That was a big opportunity missed.
Yeah, and 88 again, you come up against Davis. So much of your early career was dominated with these huge matches with Steve Davis. Even though most people talk about you and Hendry having the big Crucible rivalry, before Stephen Hendry started his kind of dominance, you had some unbelievable run of matches with Steve Davis.
Absolutely, you know, and for me, you know, with Stephen Hendry, he didn't have a safety game, but he was such a great long potter and such a great, it's a great self-belief. But with Davis, you know, if Davis was 50 in front, he's putting balls safe. You know, you didn't counter punch as much as you could with Hendry. So yeah, I had some great matches. In 88, what did Davis beat me in then? What was that?
I don't know. He did you in the semi-final. I don't know exactly what the score was.
Okay.
89, John Parrott, the first kind of meeting you had with him in the quarter-finals. I mean, John obviously went on to the final that year and got heavily beaten by Steve, but John was sort of a new name coming on the scene, or now who was a serious contender. But again, another year where you were there at least the quarter-finals. I mean, you played so many matches in this arena and went deep in this tournament. People only talk about the finals. They don't realise how many quarter-finals, semi-finals, how many close games you had.
Well, I tell you, yeah, you're right. I don't even remember Parrott beating me in 88 or 89, whatever you said, but I remember playing Stephen Hendry in the second round of one of the tournaments, of one of the Crucible theatre matches, and I beat him 13-12. You know, so I've had some huge battles here. But
90 to 95 is all documented. We've spoken about that. It's been done. 96, you come up against Hendry again in the semi-finals. So you've had him for like in 4 finals, and then suddenly you meet him again in the semi-finals. So it was like 5 or 6 years where the whole Crucible Theatre was just about Jimmy White and Stephen Hendry. And you played a massive part in that boom time of snooker. You must be proud to have been part of that.
Yeah, of course. You know, listen, I touched the nation. You know, people like felt sorry for me not winning the World Championships, and they liked the way that I was gracious in defeat. You know, I think we're playing a sport, we're getting paid lots of money, and you know, I've had some fabulous times, and I'm still playing. I'm getting on a bit now, but I'm still hitting the ball as good as ever. And if I have a run, who knows?
1997, the last kind of year I want to talk to you about, you lost to Anthony Hamilton in a decider.
Yeah.
Now,
I was 5-1 up in that match.
So 97 was a kind of quite a pivotal year, because you've played Davis at his best, you've had matches with Hendry. Suddenly, the 97 World Championship, you've got this fellow O'Sullivan, John Higgins, Mark Williams started coming on the scene, and obviously Ken was getting dominant. Yeah. Do you think that was kind of a change of an era time?
I think, you know, you got to be, you know, the 3 players of the class of 92 that we all talk about, Williams, Higgins and O'Sullivan, you know, they did take it, and through watching the likes of Ray Reardon, Alex Higgins, Steve Davis, Jimmy White, Stephen Hendry, John Parrott. I think these guys have learnt an awful lot quick, and even though they was playing in small tournaments, pro-ams and all that, they see a lot of good snooker growing up, and I think they learnt a lot from that.
So after 97 you still got to the quarterfinals 2 more times. You played Ronnie in one, I think Matthew Stevens in the other. 2006 is the last time you qualified for the World Professional Championships here, which is, you know, 13-14 years ago. Does it get harder every year?
It does. It really does. But I think I've got it down to a T now. That see, I was very self-critical. I've got 2 more years left on the main tour. I'm going to play on the seniors tour, and not playing so many events, and you know, enjoy life off the table. But these last 2 years, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm enjoying the practicing. The greatest thing was that you miss a ball or lose a tournament, you can get rid of it and go, right, I'll go on to the next one. Now I haven't got any time but to do that. So I realised that, I made a conscious decision, and I'm enjoying my game at the moment.
Just one final question. This series is all called Crucible Memories. Outside of all your memories of this place, is there one that stands out for you involving anyone else?
Oh. Well, obviously the Dennis Taylor game. I'd actually say too many to pinpoint. But I'd have to say it's like when John F. Kennedy got shot. You knew where he was. You knew where he was when Taylor fighted that bloke.
Well, you've played a huge part in the history of this
Thanks,
place.
mate.
And great talking to you.
God bless you.